We have Spencer from Ice and Kills joining us today to talk about the upcoming or the new single, "The Laugh Track," which is out now. The video's up on YouTube. I gotta say, this thing is pretty epic and cinematic. Like the video alone is it really feels like you're in Gotham City in the 1989 Tim Burton Batman, which is incredible. So I
Thank you
guess can we
so
start
much. Yeah,
there?
that was the idea. That's absolutely.
So what was it about that first Batman movie that you found so inspiring that it inspired the song? Or are you
Especially like the modern superhero wave, with the exception of maybe the first Iron Man. So Batman, to me, is Keaton in '89 with Nicholson as the Joker. That movie was a game changer. I think special effects wise, I think aesthetic wise, so many um, productions I feel like have been inspired by that and has tried to copy that. And I don't think it's ever been duplicated, even within the same franchise. And it's just one of those movies that's so elevated in terms of everything from the writing to the acting, to the beats of the story to the music. It's just an incredible movie that genres that I always like to inject within other genres, which is comedy. You know, putting comedy and horror I love, and me was just genius. And I'm so glad that you liked it.
yeah, the Nicholson performance in that movie is truly some of his best work. Like he just transformed into the character, and I don't think that had been done at the time. Like you said, in the modern superhero age, like there was nothing else like it. So it was completely groundbreaking.
Agree, and I think even watching that film today, everything holds up. You know, it doesn't feel dated. It feels timeless, and that's what we were trying to homage. Of course, we wanted to inject our own, put our own stamp on it rather, with the makeup design, which was done by a good friend of mine and an Academy Award-winning special effects makeup artist, Christopher Nelson, who had worked on, won an Academy Award for Suicide Squad and has won several Emmys for American Horror Story. So he just had this vision of how our Joker could look, and he just knocked it out of the park.
We were talking about how cinematic this video is, and I truly feel like you're constantly working to elevate yourself in terms of like the look and feel of taking a song and transforming it into a visual piece of art, which I don't think a lot of people are doing with their videos these days.
Yeah, I don't know. Attention to uh, um, modern day music. We love what we want to see, and we try not to have it be too influenced by what's going. It turned out great, you know. We wanted to take something that was timeless from back in the late '80s and kind of put our own spin on it. And and I'm so grateful that we were able to do it. You know, we work with this guy Jensen who does absolutely stunning videos and his whole team, top to bottom, from costume design to VFX to cinematography. It's just they're just top notch, and they always get my vision and are able to interpret it in such an eloquent way. And it's just a trip to get to work with on the story side of things. You know, after the video, after the music video ends, there's a whole storyline that connects to our previous videos and continues the story that I've admired for years, like Terry Kaiser from Weekend at Bernie's. The guy who played Jackie Childs, Phil Morris from Seinfeld, who was able to sort of homage that classic role from that sitcom. And then, of course, Matt Lillard playing himself in the video, which I don't know if he's ever done that, played himself, and was all sort of able to tie into this liquor brand. We did a collab with him, Inbox.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. Macabre Spirits, you have the partnership with them. Tell us how that came about, and how you came up with your own brand of liquor.
I've become friends with Matt over the last few years. We have the same horror convention agent, this guy named Sean Clark, and he introduced us. And I was, I've always been a big fan of his, from everything from, SLC Punk to obviously, Hackers and Scream, of course, which is one of my favorite movies. And his portrayal as Stu, and that's like one of the great comedic slash horror performances ever. And he kind of, through doing conventions with us, he really saw what Ice Nine Kills was all about. And I think he was really impressed with our following, and it just made sense. He created this company, Find Familiar Spirits, and Macabre Spirits is the horror sort of subdivision of that brand. A merch collab that we did for um a previous liquor that he worked on, and then it just made sense, and it's been selling out like crazy, and we're just super excited about it. So much attention to detail. Our head designer, Mike Cortada, every little intricacy from the box to the skull stopper of the bottle to the bottle itself, and the whole team, the whole Macabre Spirits team that Matt works with, we're just incredibly excited and passionate about the project, and I think that kind of seeps through into what we released.
You can definitely tell that you paid attention to like every aspect and every detail of that, down to the way the bottle looks, like how it's all perfect, sort of symmetrical, that sort of thing. And I definitely think that the whole complete package with the drink recipes as well was a nice touch. So.
Thank you. Yeah, we were able to get so many buddies of Matt and I to do these recipes that come with the drink. Everyone from Nick Castle, the original Michael Myers, to Skeet Ulrich, and it's just a really cool package.
It's circling back. We're talking about the Silver Scream Con. You just wrapped up this year's iteration. What can you tell us about this year? How it went, and the sort of the evolution of that process of jumping into the deep end with your own fan convention.
It's been great, man. I've always been interested in the convention world. I remember going as a fan, just 5 or 6 years ago, and being enthralled with the whole process of being able to meet the people that you've looked up to in the world of horror. And with the releases of the Silver Scream records that we've come out with, and Welcome to Horrorwood, and getting involved with the Terrifier franchise with our song Work of Art, it just really seemed that there was a really strong cross section between people who loved our band and people that went to conventions. And it seemed like, what better way to do our sort of annual hometown concert than also have a convention the last couple years in Worcester, Massachusetts, at the DCU Center, a concert venue and convention center where I grew up going to conventions like Rock Shock, where I grew up going, and to play that same venue now, to sell it out with like almost 10,000 people there was just very exhilarating, and just such a great experience. And I'm so excited the horror community and New England's horror world and fans have embraced this convention, and I think it by the numbers that we see, it continues to grow, exponentially every year. So we're just really excited for the future and to keep building it and delivering something great to our fans and seeing people, not only from New England come, but from all over the world. So many people I met from every single state in the US and all over Europe on the Silver Screen Con to just be with like-minded psychos, as we call our fans.
So doing these conventions, do you still have like a white whale in terms of a guest that you would want to aspire to get for the con or book for the guest?
Oh man, I'd love to get our convention guests, Bruce Campbell, Linda Blair, but we've already had so many amazing guests. Everything at this point is just like kind of icing on the cake.
Having Bruce Campbell do his game show at your convention would have to be at the top of that list. I've seen it a couple times, and it's incredible to watch.
Oh, that would be amazing. I love Bruce Campbell. I love Evil Dead, and he's such a cool guy. So dapper.
Absolutely, he dresses for success for sure. So, um, I'm interested to know. Halloween's just a couple days away. I know that you're a big Halloween guy. So, what does your place look like for Halloween? What can we expect if we're trick or treating at Spencer's house?
Oh, we go pretty crazy. We take it very seriously. So we've got kind of animatronics all over the property. Um, we've got this year we like to add new elements every year. Um, and my friend Christopher Nelson, who I was talking about, who did the makeup effects on our videos, he designed a display, a three-dimensional display of what the Creep Show, the original Creep Show VHS and one sheet artwork looks like. So in my dining room, I've got this big old school movie ticket booth with the ghoul inside, the creeper inside taking tickets, and it looks like it's right off the box, the VHS box.
You guys were out on tour with Metallica. Obviously Pantera was there as well. Phil Anselmo has his own haunted house in New Orleans. Just curious, did you have a chance to connect and geek out about all things horror?
Unfortunately, we were always on different nights than Pantera, so I never got to really geek out with him. Definitely had a lot of conversations with Kirk Hammett because he's a huge horror fan and a huge horror movie collector. And him and his business manager, Shelley, introduced me to this one particular place in Toronto, these movie one sheets that are now hung up all over my house. So that influence definitely came into play there.
I don't know if you can speak about it, and we can feel free to edit it out if we can't. But I know you're working on a feature film project with Greg Nicotero. What can you tell us about that project, if anything?
It's really exciting. I wrote the script. I had this idea for a long time. And I brought it to my friend Paul Soder, who is part of the Broken Lizard comedy group that has done everything from Super Troopers to Beer Fest to Club Dread, some of my favorite comedies. And he put together a fantastic script. We went back and forth, and we had this really interesting idea um, because so many of the 1980s slasher stars like Michael and Jason, like a lot of people over the years have kind of said that, is the hand of God punishing horny teenagers for drug use and promiscuous sex? Is it kind of like it's the hand of God? And I thought, well, has there ever really been a movie where Jesus? So I had this wild idea to call it the Slashing of the Christ, and we sent the script out, and Greg really responded. He's a legend in the business. I've been admiring his effects group K&B for years. They've done everything from Scream to all the Tarantino movies. And then he was obviously Greg was obviously very hands-on with the Walking Dead show, directing like 40 of the episodes and being executive producer. And it was just such a vote of confidence to get his backing on it. And it's been a great process. We're talking to some movie studios now. We're talking to directors, and we're really excited about it. That's really all I could tell you. But go to slashingofthechrist.com to get some more info. There's sort of a cryptic website that kind of introduces some of the lore in an interesting way, in a funny way.
Is it interesting, obviously coming from a musical background, being in sort of the shark infested waters of the music industry, but then, transferring that skill set into, the movie world where it can be just as treacherous and, you're dealing with investors, you're dealing with theatrical releases, things like that. There's a lot of things that aren't in your control within, releasing a movie. So how's that experience been so far for you?
Thus far, it's been good. I mean, we're very early on in the process, so I'll get back to you on that. But doing our music videos which are really like short films. I've gotten a little bit of taste of the project, the process rather, and us doing the official song for Terrifier 3 last fall. I got kind of a taste of it, but uh, you know, we're in the driver's seat here. Studio we're going to go with that. We retain the creative control. So I think that as long as you can get knows. Like I said, I'll get back to you.
Just circling back to the videos for a second, but as an artist, obviously you have a specific vision, especially when it comes to your videos. How does YouTube guidelines sort of enter into that equation, or does it at all? Because obviously you have, YouTube can limit the reach and how people find the video through search algorithms and things like that. So does that impact you at all when creating art, or do you just you have to put that to the side?
Yeah, it's super annoying to be honest. And like you said, if you turn in something that is too violent, then they they put up all these did the Terrifier work of art one. You can't do anything related to Terrifier and not make it balls to the wall, insanely gory. So we just went all out with that, and thankfully become one of our biggest songs, and most popular videos. But it's definitely something we have to think about when we crafted the last few, because we wanted to not be restricted in any way. So um, you have to sort of imply some of the gore. YouTube is kind of like the new MPAA. Uh, but at the same time, when you do have restrictions, sometimes it brings more creativity out of you. Um, there's so many great slasher movies, horror movies that you would have sworn you thought you saw something really violent, but it was all really just camera tricks and the right sound design. Texas Chainsaw is really very, at the end of the day, if you watch the movie carefully, there's really not much that you see. You could have sworn you saw Leatherface put that lady on a hook, but you don't really see the hook go in. So sometimes restrictions um, pull more creativity out of you.
And talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I recently watched the Ed Gein Monster on Netflix, which has been trending for a couple weeks. But I thought it was amazing to see, how much that real life, story actually impacted horror culture as a whole, from Alfred Hitchcock to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
hmm Yeah, yeah. I've heard good things about the show. I personally, and I'm not judging anyone who watches shows like that. Sometimes I feel a little bit weird about when it's a true story, um, because to me, it takes some of the fun out of it. It's one thing if it's inspired by Ed, you know, as you pointed out, Psycho clearly was, as well as um, Texas Chainsaw.
So I know we have to wrap up here in a couple minutes. I just wanted to circle back. Warp Tour came back this year. You guys were a part of it. Can you give us your best Warp Tour memory? Because I know you were part of those early iterations of the tour. You guys were traveling in a van. It just seems like a special time within music that was missing with Warp Tour being gone.
Yeah, Warped Tour for me has always held a really special place in my heart. It's, you know, a festival that I would look forward to every year when I was a kid. Um, and it was the first time I ever saw that many bands in, you know, in the same location in a dirt field. And there was such a to what Kevin built. And for us, before we could ever get on the tour in official capacity, we snuck in every day, followed the entire Warp Tour in 2008 and most of it in 2009, and sold our demo CDs, walking around with iPods at the time with splitters so that each of us could show more than one person our music. And you know, we sold like 10,000 albums doing that. Just walking around every day, and it was a really tough summer, but still to this day, I have people come up to us like, "Hey, dude, your band's huge, but you know, you sold me a album in the parking lot in Phoenix, Arizona in 2008." Um, and to me, it's not specifically one moment that stands out, but like I remember when eventually we did the tour, you know, like we would play main stage some days, and I just would be like, I remember this venue, like I'm in Chicago or something, and Tinley Park, if memory serves. And I was like, I remember this venue, and you know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I was over there, you know, by the where they're selling calzones, trying to get someone wearing a, you know, a Devil Wears Prada shirt to buy our album, and now I'm up on stage, and there's, you know, 10,000 fans screaming every word of our song. And it's just like one of those things where like it was all worth the struggle because we made it happen. You know, we went out there and we said we weren't going to worry if any record label was behind us at the time, if we had management or a booking agent, or whether we could get on this very tour. We were going to get out there, and we were going to expose people to our band because we believed in it. And
It's got to make you appreciate those moments, like being on the Metallica tour. So you have those trials and tribulations where I'm sure being on that grand stage, definitely makes you appreciate it. So
oh, so much, so much. Going out with Metallica was a absolute dream come true. Grew up listening to that band, going to see them in Boston with my dad in the, you know, the mid '90s on one of the Load tours, and they've just been such a big influence to my guitar playing, to the way I think about melodies, to song structure, and you know, they're the pinnacle of a huge metal band, and the you know, one of the greatest rock bands of all time, and to be hand chosen by them to not, you know, would have been one thing if it was just one show, would have been incredible moment. And the fact that those guys took us around the entire world, you know, I will never forget them, and I can't thank them and their entire camp and crew and everyone from the management to the tour management to the people doing lights to their roadies to their security, are just, you know, fantastic people, and they treated us so well.
when you're on a tour with a band like that, do you just try and soak up as much as you can because they've done it for such a long time at such a high level?
Absolutely. And I think everyone on our team, did, from our management to our booking agent. I think it was one of those things where their whole camp kind of brought our camp under their wing, and I think everyone just learned a lot, um, and gave us so many great ideas earlier on in the spring and the summer, early summer. Uh, the concept, was birthed from watching what they do, doing 2 shows in one city and doing different set lists every night. And at first I was like, "Wow, man, are we big enough to do that?" And sure enough, pretty much every single show in every single city sold out and was wildly successful. And we have them to thank for inspiring that kind of stuff and that kind of thinking about what can we do to serve our fans. What do they want to see? What is going to give them not just a concert, not just a show, but an experience. And we approach things a lot differently after having toured with them and learn from the way they handle things.
So I guess to wrap it up, then let's end on this note. But what can you tell us about a potential new Ice Nine Kills album? Will there be a new album? Are you just releasing singles, or how far along in that process are you?
At some point there will definitely be a new album. But right now we're having fun putting out singles and shaking things up and kind of keeping people on their toes with trying not to duplicate what we've done before and not just do horror, kind of, dabble in some other film genres. And I think we were a little bit, there's always some worry there, like, oh man, if we don't do horror, like, are our fans gonna embrace it, or will there be a backlash? And the song we just came out with, Laugh Track, which we were talking about earlier, which was inspired by not a horror movie, but just a great movie, uh, Batman from '89. And so far, it's proved to be our biggest song so far in terms of the reach that we've seen in this amount of time it's been out. So it's just great. We've got great fans that always taking ourselves so seriously, and that there's always an element of humor and comedy to what we do, and that's what Ice Nine Kills is about. At the end of the day, it can be very gory, it can be very violent, but there's always a wink to the camera that we're having fun here, and that's what Ice Nine Kills is about. Having a good time with like-minded people that like good films and that enjoy our music.
And Ice Nine Kills fans are a total community in themselves. It's really cool to see what you guys have built. So,
Thank you
well,
so much.
well, thank you for joining us. I'll urge everybody to check out the laugh track and stay tuned for more. I appreciate you joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, and thanks for supporting what we do.